Tuesday. It's almost 11 p.m. and the reason why I had to wait so long to shoot is because I needed it to be dark in here. I am trying to shoot some strobe light photos, some self-portraits with strobe lights, and this is not anything that I've ever done before. So this whole thing is super trial and error. And, maybe it'll be totally awesome, maybe it'll totally fail, but I decided to share it because I think that experimenting and playing with new things is really important. And I also think that it's really important not just to pretend like everything works out perfectly all the time. So I have my camera, tripod, I've got a background set up here, just a black background. And I have an old strobe light that I have had forever. I think my brother got this for me for Christmas when I was like a teenager. It's nothing fancy. It is a strobe light. It does have varying speeds. I don't know if they all do, but this one does, and that's going to be helpful because the two things that I'm going to be adjusting and playing with the most are how fast the strobe light flashes and how long the shutter speed is. So essentially what I'm trying to get is an image that will kind of look like a multiple exposure. A couple of weeks ago, one of my Instagram buddies sent me a post of a dancer and it looked like it was multiple exposures of the dancer doing a dance move. I know how to do that in Photoshop. I would just take like rapid fire shots of the person moving and then overlap them. But this image was created with the use of a strobe light. So every time the strobe light flashes, it will kind of freeze frame the person in motion, which is a really cool way to capture motion in camera without the use of Photoshop. So I was instantly intrigued, and now I kind of want to play around and try to see if I can get something similar, but I'm not a dancer, so it will be like in my own kind of style. So shout out to my buddy Steven on Instagram. If you love landscape photography, I highly recommend you check out his Instagram. I'll leave a link down below. And let's get started on this because I don't want to be up until 2 a.m. It wouldn't focus in the dark, so I had to set my focus using that cat stand thing, turn it to manual focus to lock that focus in. So I will just stand in that exact spot while I take the photos, and then it should work fine as long as I'm not moving from that particular place, even if I'm moving kind of like my head and stuff, because the whole idea is to get motion as long as I'm not stepping backwards or forwards. You get it. So first things first, I had to turn off all the lights so that when the strobe light flashes, there's not going to be any ambient light in between the flashes and it will be able to freeze me more clearly. I'm going to turn the strobe light on and kind of pick a nice medium flash rate. I have only taken 2 shots and I'm already really excited about this. The first thing that I learned is not to have your shutter speed open too long. Otherwise you're like literally moving around way too much. So like a second and a half, I think, is really long enough. And then I think just playing with the length of the strobe light, how quickly that flashes, is going to be what I mostly rely on. It's making me feel a little bit nauseous, so if you're sensitive to that kind of thing, this might not be for you. I'm pretty impressed already. The photos seem kind of like trippy and avant-garde and experimental and maybe a little bit like you're on drugs or something. I really like the black on black. I did that because I thought like if these worked out, they might have kind of like a psychological thriller feel to them and I would be able to submit them for book cover. Submit them for book covers. So that's kind of my intention with the style that I'm going along with this technique. And I think it's actually a really good fit and I will end up doing that. it is not enjoyable to be in the strobe light. I don't know if it's just me or if other people don't like strobe lights as well. But I am finding that I need to take breaks because it's making me nauseous. But I really, really love the photos and I'm super excited. They look like they've been photoshopped. I think that's just where my brain goes because I use Photoshop so much that I just assume everything is done in Photoshop. But these are very cool. So if you can handle a strobe light, I would recommend that you give it a try. I'm having a hard time not smiling in them because I'm having so much fun like dancing around like a goofball, and maybe I'm a little bit overtired. But yeah, so I'm trying to like not smile to get more of a grim look, but I'm finding that I'm laughing a little bit because it is fun. I'm gonna do some more. I'm gonna share some of the unedited photos so you guys can see what I'm getting just like in my camera. They're not perfect. I will probably crop them. I don't know, maybe I think I might want to make some black and white because I think they'll look really striking and really have lots of contrast with the black background and stuff. So there is stuff that I am going to do with them in Photoshop, but the whole multiple person effect is happening in camera and it's super cool. So I'm really excited about that. I think it's awesome. I have moved the strobe light a lot closer to where I was standing, and it's made a huge difference in how the photos are turning out. They're a lot more clear and bright and crisp in the actual shots, whereas when it was further away, I was getting more ambient light and they were more kind of smudgy. Both are really cool, but I enjoy this. It's still really bothering my stomach, not to mention I'm like spinning around and twirling and stuff. So lots of breaks. So I moved my camera back a little bit more. I want to get a little bit more of me in the shot, and I have to refocus because I had it locked to where it was. So I have to refocus and then I can get back to it and do a few more, and then I'm gonna wrap it up because I really can't do this all night. And I'll edit the photos tomorrow. This will be included in the video. I have not kept the settings the same throughout the entire shoot. I've been playing around with the shutter speed and the ISO. I definitely played with all my settings, and it's really going to depend on, you know, how bright your strobe light is, how close it is, and your ambient light and all of that stuff. But I definitely would say that you don't need your shutter to stay open for as long as you think you do. That is my biggest takeaway from this. Okay, I'm going to turn my strobe light on. I'm going to turn my lights off. We're going to do our last few shots and call it a night.
And I walk down the city street. She sleeps right next to me, and you are.
I'm super stoked that that worked. I love them. I'm definitely going to be doing this again in the future. I just think that I'll wait until like December, January, when it gets dark at like 4 p.m. so that I don't have to stay up until like 10 or 11 to do them. I have no idea why I decided to wait until June when it is the lightest out the longest here, but whatever. Now I know. Now I know. So this is something that I'll definitely revisit in the future and maybe try to do different background stuff and make it a little bit more interesting. Highly recommend that you guys give it a try if you got the stomach for it and you don't have any sensitivities to strobe lights. Otherwise, that's it for me. I'm going to bed. I'm exhausted and I'm weirdly thirsty. Thanks for watching. If you want to check out some more self-portrait shoots, I will have some linked on my end screen for you right now.